Let's talk about data collection and data handling. Hand collection of data is often not avoidable. Why is that the case? Well, databases often do not have every data available that we are interested in as researchers, and that means we have to go and get the data ourselves. There are a lot of ways of doing that. One way is, of course, going in and typing every data point from an annual report, for example, into an Excel. That's how I usually do it. Often, if you're lucky, you find data available on a web page, so then you can take it from there. That helps as well, especially if you can automate it. That is, of course, one way of doing it. The good thing is with hand collecting data, you have often full control over the quality that this data has, or you see at least where it comes from, but it's very time consuming. So that's kind of the benefit or the downside of hand collecting data. And often good hand collecting data is a contribution on its own, right? If you're spending a lot of time collecting data, then this is, of course, if it's data that you otherwise wouldn't get, this is a contribution in a way, right? But it's not a contribution in a sense that this is not the only contribution, hopefully, your thesis has. Good. Then just some words about databases. Generally, data coverage is quite good, at least for US and the European countries. Check data quality. That is something I usually do. I follow multiple firms to see whether the data that I get from databases is actually corresponding to what they have in their annual reports. If it's accounting data, to verify a little bit, whether this data makes sense and if you get the timing right. And if you're using DataStream and you rely on price data, then I can recommend you to have a look on this Instant Porter 2006, which you will find in the slides, or the link to it you will find in the slides here, which is a very good paper and gives you some indications how you can screen your data for obvious outliers. Generally, databases, what do we have available? First of all, DataStream, or Thomson Icon as it's called nowadays. I have made a little introduction video for that, which you can look at. You can get a lot of data there. So this is like probably for most of your studies the most important one. CompuStat or CRISP is very relevant for the US. All the US-based literature actually use that. For this, you need to have access over the WRDS account, which you will find more information from your supervisor or later on in this tutorial. Then for analyst data, you should go, or it's a good way to go to IBES. That's the database for analyst coverage and analyst prediction data. For Swedish private firms, you can go, for example, use Serrano. And for more current issues, finance-related data, Bloomberg is a very good database to start with. Often they have, unfortunately, only for current data, so it's harder to go back in history to get more data. I'm sure the library can help you further out to point out databases that are available to us. And another good way to start is to look at the availability at SHOF, the Swedish House of Finance from the school, or that's related to the school. They have often quite nice data also, where you might can ask them to apply that data as well. Good. And some general tips. I would recommend you really start early with data collection. It often takes more time than you wish, and often your research question might be changed slightly because you're not able to find all the data that you really want. From my previous knowledge or kind of my experience, firm identifier can be problematic, so you really need to don't throw out information too early. You might need it to merge it with other databases. So for example, ticker is one of these things where you need to be extra careful, or even try to avoid it, because they can change over time and over years. So that's just, and easy numbers actually are also kind of cumbersome sometimes. So you need to pay extra attention, not that you merge the firms with the wrong data. I personally recommend you to document your decisions and keep a log file, and to start to write early what you're doing and why you're doing it. So that's very good to remember then when you really write together the paper later on. And use services such as Dropbox to constantly back up your work. And I write Dropbox here a little bit special, because you're also able from the school to use these box services, at least in 2017 that's the case. You can try to constantly back up with these services your work, so you're not able to, or you don't lose your work because your hard disk crashes or other stuff. So that's something that I really can recommend you. Good.